Welcome back to Tales of Two Bros. I am Angel. And yet again, we are joined with Kimberly.
Hi.
And this will be our review of Jurassic World Dominion. Spoilers for this and Jurassic Park. We just did a review with my brother Adan on Jurassic Park, our throwback review, so make sure you check it out. We just came back from viewing Jurassic World Dominion the day before the premiere. So by the time you see this video or hear this review, the day has come and gone. But I hope you did check it out on Friday because that's the day of my birthday where I turned 50.
Happy birthday.
Hey, copyright infringement.
Oh,
Careful.
sorry. Feliz Navidad.
These cumpleaños.
Oh, cumpleaños. Oh, Feliz Navidad is Christmas, right?
Yes. Jurassic World Dominion is the sixth.
Actually, what is the meaning of Dominion?
A few moments later.
Why you gotta make me look it up now?
Well, it'd be good to know what it has to mean something.
The territory of a sovereign or government. Makes sense.
Okay.
Because they're pretty much on an island or a secluded location, if you will. So there you go. We have some mixed feelings about this. We tried to not talk about it in the car on the way home, but we talked about it. And now I'm afraid that we may forget some of the talking points that we commented on. Off the bat, did you enjoy it?
I couldn't get myself into it. I mean, I watched it and I was hopeful and everything, but for some reason it wasn't giving me the same feelings as I was getting when I saw the other movie, previous movie.
Okay, fair enough. Before I give mine, I want to go over a real quick synopsis. This brings, similar to what Star Trek did in one of their umpteenth movies where they brought the old generation and the new generation together. We have the three musketeers, or like I like to call them, the three stooges of Jurassic Park. You have Ellie Sattler, Alan Grant, and Ian Malcolm from the original. And then you have Owen and Claire. There's not really a third one, unless you call Blue as one of the characters or the young one, Macy. I kind of like that in a way this is becoming a close. I liked it in concept, but I did not like it in execution.
Yeah, the idea was original. The idea was promising, but it just didn't execute very well on screen.
Right. It is directed and co-written by Colin Trevorrow. He was responsible for the first Jurassic World as well. He was the original writer-director for episode 9, Duel of the Fates, which is a tie back to episode 1. And that got scrapped. There's a tie-in, obviously, from the first Jurassic Park into Jurassic World. There are 3 Jurassic Park movies. There's 3 Jurassic World movies. There's countless video games, Lego movies, as we checked on IMDb.
Cartoons.
Is there cartoons? I think there's cartoons, maybe cartoons, but I know there's definitely video games and Lego attachment, the video game and cartoon. And the one main person that was attached to that we saw was B.D. Wong, Dr. Wu. Also, Jeff Goldblum was in the video games as well. So I guess many of the actors, I'm not going to go through all of it because that's pulling us away from our thoughts on Jurassic World Dominion.
Yep.
Like I said before, a lot of callbacks.
Yeah.
A lot of callbacks to the original and well welcomed. Do you have a moment that you did enjoy, even though you have an overall feeling of not enjoying it? There's anything you appreciated?
That's hard to say. I mean, nothing is really kind of sticking out in my mind as far as a moment that, oh yeah, I really like that moment that I'll always remember or I'll always think of.
Oh, okay.
How about you?
For me, I mean, if you were of that generation that liked Jurassic Park, you're going to like anything that's related to those characters. if you're of that generation that liked Jurassic World, you're going to appreciate that. And for me, I'm a big fan of Jurassic Park. And so every time any three of them were on screen, I was happy.
Yeah.
I love seeing Ian, Grant, and Ellie. It felt like they never missed a beat. It felt like they were always friends, even though this is the first time them being all together since the first one.
But I'm sorry, I have to nitpick in the sense of like when they brought them together, when she appeared with him, the dynamic, I don't know, everything about this movie was lacking.
Oh,
There was an element that was lacking, and it just didn't seem like when they met, it didn't give you that feeling like they're back together again, or like
but who are you talking about? Because you said him, but there's two hims.
Grant.
Well, I mean, it's
Yeah.
for me, it's understandable because in the last time they were together was Jurassic Park, 3.
Mm-hmm.
And she was married because she wanted kids. He did not.
Yeah.
So that made them break up at the end of sometime after Jurassic Park 1.
Yeah.
She had a life and he was doing his thing. And they met again, like I said, in part 3, he was just trying to get some information. It was it was more of a cameo on her part. I mean, I felt it. It was like he always loved her. To him,
Oh yeah,
she was the
see
true love.
You see the sexual tension between them,
Well, it's not about sexual
or
tension.
just the emotional tension, the feelings that they obviously have feelings for each other.
Right. With her and Malcolm, obviously there was communication. They were communicating. They weren't the same levels before because in the first one, Malcolm was heavily flirting with her. But here it's more they were communicating because they were trying to take down Biosyn from the inside out.
Yeah, and there were moments where you can see the jealousy with Dr. Grant that he had.
Well, he still had, of course he has to have jealousy. He's also from the old feelings and still unsure. And again, back then there was still memories from the first time when they were all together.
Mm-hmm.
Please excuse us because we just saw it. So everything that we saw is trying to
You're still processing it.
Yeah. With the Jurassic World, that story, it takes pretty much after Jurassic World 2, where they have Macy, they adopted her, or not really adopted her, but brought her in and made her as a family.
It was sort of like they brought her in because they were trying to protect her.
Right. I know.
I know, but that's
back then too.
I know, but I'm telling viewers
right, but
also.
I didn't even let me finish of why the thing was happening. To go back to the Jurassic World, their premise, their focus is more of a rescue mission. It's really quick. It's like as soon as they have Macy and Beta, the baby raptor, gets kidnapped. And now we got to rescue those two. For the OGs, for the Jurassic Park crew, they're trying to get information. They have to, it's like a spy, it's espionage. They have to go in, grab some proof of what Bison is doing because of crops, or they found these locusts destroying crop, which will affect the food chain. You eat the crops, the animals can't eat. If they can't eat, they die. If they die, we can't eat. We can't survive. And what happens is actually like you control. It's kind of like a pharmaceutical making a disease, but they also have the cure. They benefit from that. And I like that aspect. I appreciate that more than that rescue. The rescue mission was very not blasé, but more of, what do I say? Like predictable, basic.
Yeah, it was predictable. It was something that wasn't really necessary in a certain respect.
We were talking about this in the car where pretty much every movie you have a group of people that has to do something. They're doing their own thing. Like in the first one, you have Grant and the kids, and then you have Ian and Ellie doing their thing, and then it comes back together.
Somehow gets separated.
Right, they're together.
They try to get back together as a group.
Here is two separate parties that end up meeting at a crossroad or at a specific point. So it wasn't like in the beginning they're all together.
Mm-hmm.
And again, for me, it was just I felt more attached to the OGs.
The old school team. Yay!
I was excited to see them. The action was pretty good. I would say the action in the sense of the motorcycle.
Yeah,
weaponized
actually, okay, now that you brought that up, I would say that would be a good.
in that scene.
Yeah, I enjoyed that scene.
I mean, a movie can be bad, but it has some good elements.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's like, but let's be real. At this stage in the franchise, like they're trying to work together as dinosaur of old prehistoric times and modern times.
Yeah, we're all trying to integrate with each other.
Right. But there's some people who took advantage of that or taken
Yeah.
advantage of that and using animals and of these dinosaurs, weaponizing them, using them for sport in the sense of like like dog pits or dog
Mhm.
fights. But the scene right before the motorcycle chase, dinosaurs get loose. Apex predators, the carnivores, they are loose, but the people are like as if chickens running around free.
Especially the part where or I felt like you were getting frustrated with was the fact that yes, they got loose and they got loose on purpose because they wanted to go after people to kill them.
No, no, not that part. That's
Oh.
that's one of them. No, I'm just talking about when they're in that hall where the locals
Oh.
have
Oh, and the
they're the
people are
beef.
like standing there like, "Oh, look at there
Right.
one's loose and it's gonna eat me."
Right, exactly. They're right there. They're all carnivores. Maybe one or two are not, but like the majority in that hall are all carnivores, and they're not running for their lives. Now, the one you're talking about, the weaponized raptors,
Yeah.
you have the CIA agents there. They have guns.
They're fully armed.
Well, they're not fully armed.
Well,
They're armed.
they're armed.
And instead of shooting the raptors dead on sight,
They run.
exactly. I mean, maybe if these raptors were black, they'd probably be shot down real quick.
It's interesting because some of the raptors look kind of gangster in the sense of like they all had like different coloring.
Well, yeah, blue. Yeah, they did that, but I think that's more of like engineering.
Yeah, they
Because
just
that
they,
goes
they gave
blue.
them a little bit of like personality by the way they looked. If that
Mm,
kinda
I mean,
makes
I really
sense.
don't remember the raptors in that scene. I mean, yeah, there are some color differences, but I mean, that's the one CIA agent. He runs inside a boat,
Little compartment.
right? And he has a gun. Instead of shooting the raptor in the face,
He puts
he
it
no, he puts
down.
it down and gets a stick to hit a latch to break out of the canopy or the top, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And then later on, he grabs the gun and then he shoots the lock. I'm like, are you effing kidding? Like the whole
Why can't
time,
you shoot the
dinosaur, the
dinosaur?
raptor. You could have shot the raptor. Bang, bang, right there. I mean,
Ay.
simple things. I understand like for the drama of it all and for cinematography or for the cinema. But come on, in the real world, those guys would not have run. Those guys would have unloaded on those raptors instantly, especially CIA agents, not like local authorities. That was one of the things. And the finale,
Yeah, the finale was like,
especially where there's three apex predators, and I can't remember the names except for the T-Rex. There's other ones. Two of them fight. One dominates the other. Another shows up. I mean, the death was kind of cool.
yeah,
But the scene reminded me of the end scene or end fight scene of King Kong versus Godzilla,
yeah,
where King Kong is fighting Godzilla. Godzilla gets the best of King Kong. And then Mechanical Zilla or Mechazilla shows up, starts to beat down Godzilla. And then King Kong comes in and helps. It was kind of like the enemy of my enemy is my friend. And I saw that. I was like, I mean, this is not originality. You
no,
could definitely see where it's coming from.
overplayed.
And plus, if they're all apex predators,
They'd be killing each other.
you'll be killing each other. Yeah, you take one down, okay, fine. Then you take the other down. You don't
Yeah.
you don't give each other a high five. They didn't do that.
It was close.
was
I wouldn't be
close.
surprised if they did.
Right.
Well, it's like even like what I can remember from the original Jurassic Park and all
Mhm.
that was the fact that when a dinosaur went to actually kill its prey or a person, it was very gruesome. There was no gruesomeness in it.
Well, there was some here and there, but I understand what you're
But it
saying.
wasn't at the level that you're just so used to.
Right.
And it's like each time it's just I mean, how many people do you think they show being killed?
Uh,
A few moments later.
well, one, the bad guy. That's
Okay.
definitely one.
Okay, one.
Two, the one that was getting his arm chopped off by a baby dinosaur and the other dinosaur.
Yeah.
Then you have one we saw. There was like I would say five that I saw, even though I know there was more that happened.
Okay. Yeah, in comparison to the other movie,
Oh no, I mean,
the
well,
killing
no, I mean,
of the dinosaurs wasn't at the same level.
of or by.
The killing by the dinosaurs.
Right. I would say it was relatively even in that sense. You would think it'd be more since they're now roaming among civilians, and so, yeah, you would think it'd be more. But I guess for ratings, they had to have a certain amount of deaths allowed. Uh, I know there's other things I didn't like. The Asian girl,
Yeah.
the oh, what would we call her? She was like, it was a liaison, but
Very like her flowy white outfit.
no, but what like her title? Not a bounty hunter, because that's something else. It was like almost like an arms dealer, but it was more like animals and kids. That scene where she's fighting Claire, when they're fighting Claire, when her and Claire are fighting in someone's apartment. I don't know. It was pretty weak.
Yeah.
I would like to see more from Blue.
Yeah.
Blue had a bigger part in the other two films, and here was more like she was made into a co-star. So I mean, I would like to have seen more.
Like once again, it was lacking. Every element in the movie was lacking. It had potential. It was right there in front of you, but it just all of a sudden
Oh, you said it with Dr. Wu.
Yeah.
When you saw him, like in the other movies, he had a predominant presence. He was, besides the first one, because he was just an assistant, but in the other Jurassic World movies, the first one and the second one, he had a more predominant position. He
a scientist,
but not that, but he was a man of power in his field or in his right.
Mm-hmm.
Here, like you said, he looked like someone who was
weak.
Now, for me, I think it's because his conscience finally caught up to him. I understand what you're saying, because he was wearing a heavy, thick cardigan. He was holding either his briefcase or a satchel or something.
He looked like he was like cold, like
right.
Like he just was sick or something. Just something about him was off. I felt.
For me, like I said, I think that his conscience finally caught up to him, and
because he was the one that instrumented in the whole locust.
Well, right, where everything. Well,
I guess you could call it.
Well, he was pretty responsible for everything that's happening after Jurassic Park.
He knew he could fix it, but his hands were tied in the sense of trying to implement it.
Not that his hands were tied, but he was just being countered by his partner, Lewis Dodson.
Well, he was the money man, and he was the control man. He was the man in charge.
And I couldn't help but look at Lewis Dodson, and
he was the bad guy too.
Right.
All wrapped in one.
Okay, can I speak? So yeah, Lewis Dobson, every time I saw him, I couldn't help but think of Amazing Spider-Man, because he's Peter Parker's father. And there's a deleted scene where he shows up in front of Peter at the gravesite of Uncle Ben. So for some reason, when I see that, I think that that's still him in this movie. Like there's a multiverse, if you will, because he was a scientist in that movie, somewhat of a scientist here. And I like that he was more like the Elon Musk, Zuckerberg, Bill Gates kind of guy with all the. Oh, there's another movie with Tom Hanks played in. I can't remember right now, though. He was kind of saying things like, and I think they had a wrist thing also in that movie. They had it here where you could use it like to pay stuff, to access certain rooms if you had clearance. I want to say that. I can't remember that movie with Tom Hanks and Emma Watson. I mean, Easter eggs.
Yeah.
Plenty of Easter eggs. And again, they draw back a lot from the original. Not so much of Jurassic Park 2 and 3. Maybe they did, and I didn't catch it. But you have the spitter dinosaurs. Sorry, we can't remember the name. That creature makes an appearance,
Mhm.
and which was not as good
No.
as it was in the first one. It wasn't as creepy. It wasn't as scary. Actually, it makes an appearance twice
Yep.
with Claire and with Dotson.
Mhm.
I think the one with Claire. Well, no, they were pretty weak, both of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially when Owen saves the day, grabs it by the throat. Really? And then,
If it
oh no, and then Kayla Watts, the pilot. So he grabs the spitter by the throat, and then she shocks it to put it to sleep,
Yeah.
or what have you, and he doesn't get shocked by it. What, like if you're touching, like if you get shocked, if I'm touching you and you get shocked, I will feel it too. But nothing happened to him
But the thing about it is that if it's that easy to take
by the throat.
by the throat and, like, strangle it, well, then why haven't we been doing that before?
And wouldn't it realize it's being snuck up on? Oh, there you go. Another one. In Jurassic Park, the first one, and it was reprised many times, done in parody also in other films, that when a huge creature is approaching, the ground shakes.
Mhm.
You hear the thuds.
Mhm.
You're by water, it will vibrate from the sound, from the impact. That didn't happen here.
Nope.
Several apex predators are coming by and is sneaking up on a deer.
Yep.
And I know with deer, if you sneak up, if you hit a branch and you could be 100 feet away, that deer will look up and then run off. No, right here is chilling, and then the ape. Again, I don't know the name of that one. It was a little weird. It had feathers, had like hot dog fingers,
Mhm.
like
Edward Scissorhand fingers.
right, but also like hot
'Cause
dog
they were like little they were
weapons.
switchblades.
Well, there are weapons, definitely. But it hits the deer off instead of killing it or to eat it.
And then it started eating berries, which,
Yeah.
okay, that didn't make sense.
Yeah, it didn't look like a Veggiesaurus. And then when she goes under in the water, it
Mhm.
felt like that creature was going across the lake. I was like, how long is this thing going when his feet is by the edge? I was like, okay. I was like, interesting. And I think it was blind. It looked like the eyes were blind. The way the eyes were all white.
Yeah, it was obviously going off through either
Scent?
the scent or
Like
the
sonar?
yeah.
Possibly. Well, I
I
don't
don't
know.
who knows?
And again, with Easter eggs and callbacks that they brought in back the shaving cream. Was it Barboza shaving cream?
Mhm.
The same thing that was lost and dropped by Nedry when he was killed trying to escape Jurassic Park with the samples is right there. They found it. And that shows us, that tells us how they made new dinosaurs or how these dinosaurs came about because they had the samples from there.
What's the time frame? 20 years?
It was 93. Hello. We're 2022.
Okay.
So do the math. Just shy of just shy of 30 years.
Okay,
Right.
so 30 years. So 30 years this can has been in existence. Now, if an aluminum can, don't you think it would be a little more rusted, a little more tarnished, a little more beat up?
Not really. It depends on when they found it.
Okay, I don't know. It just
Because
seems.
the thing was,
I mean,
it was being covered by.
it was like burnt or looked like
It looked like it had some rust. It looked
yeah.
like it was
But
weathered.
I just expected it to be a little more
The thing is,
beat
like,
up.
he probably had a beacon for just in case it got lost, just in case it was stolen by another company or another person. He
Mhm.
probably had that because when we last saw it, it was being covered by mud.
Yeah.
So that's probably what happened.
Talk about preserve. You got to talk about the whole digging up.
Oh, yes. So, yeah, we talked about this in the cartoon. So, Alan Grant, we see him in the first film where he's at a dig site and he's telling his crew the importance of knowing the history. He pretty much does the same thing, which made no sense to me. Why would you tell your students exactly the same thing while they're working and knowing? At the same token, if you have a live dinosaurs roaming the earth, why would you be digging? or old ones. When science is to know the truth, science is used to get facts. You have living facts roaming all over the world now. Why don't you study them in the present condition?
Yeah.
Just in my opinion, I would not be wasting money getting old bones when I have the real McCoy and I can study their movements. I can study their habits. Again, granted, he had horrible experiences in 1 and 3, but he probably doesn't want to be with around any of them. He'd rather deal with the dead than with the living.
Yeah.
So maybe that is it.
But
Why?
okay, so I want to bring up one of the things that we talked about beforehand was the fact of the girl, Macy.
Who is she?
Yeah, where the what?
I told you this already.
I understand that, but I was like, okay, who's this girl? Why is she so special? And even though they explained it in the movie of her of where she came from and how she was created and her DNA being special and all that kind of stuff, but it just
I
came out of
agree.
left field. Felt like
Well, maybe to get a better understanding is to watch the second one because
I
that's
guess
where
so.
we meet her and get a little more understanding. Here, they make it a little more clear where we thought like the grandfather did something, but it was the mother that she never met, who is actually like Blue and Beta is the same person,
Hmm.
but she's
They were
actually
created the same way.
not the same way, but similar. Mace was her mother without the defects that her mother had.
Yeah.
So she wouldn't deal with because when she got older, the mother, her body started giving up on her. Her body
Yeah,
started to fail.
she had some kind of immune compromise,
Something like that.
something
So,
illness
right.
that basically she died of. And so she took her DNA and recreated to where that immune disease would not follow the same way into her daughter.
Right. Which is weird is that she made herself asexual. In the premise of the first one, all the dinosaurs were female. And since there's no males, they can't produce. But asexual animals can. Life finds a way. So they found a way to do it. I guess that's what motivated her to have a child without having a man involved. I guess she was focused on her work and her passion, studying the dinosaurs, to have time for, I guess, have a partner, be it male or female. So she found a way to, from the studies there, to do it because they said that she is very intelligent and stuff like that. So, and then the maze was the link, or not just her, but Beta as well, were the link to fix a problem that Bison created with BD Wong, Dr. Wu.
With the locusts.
Right. And I mean, a couple more, there's a lot more Easter eggs. But again, when they're on that bridge, not the bridge, but the post, that they're all running up and trying to get inside.
Mm-hmm.
And Claire says, run. That's the same thing that Ellie says to Alan when they meet up
Mm-hmm.
after she finds out that like velociraptors were after her.
And the car scene when it goes upside down. That was another scene, which was the fact that they're in this car and somehow they get off the road and they're half on, half off, and they're trying to not fall all the way down, but
They fall.
But they do end up falling.
And they land right in front of the new generation.
I mean, how coincidental is that?
Not just that, because it's like, yeah, it's falling on their lap.
Out of this whole island that they can
Kind of coincidence.
be on, where all of a sudden they just happen to fall right in front of.
A few feet away.
Yeah.
The thing is, like, you would know your daughter's voice, be it screaming or
Yeah.
talking. And so they're there looking for their daughter.
They just fall right there.
No, not just that, but she's screaming. And they're like, huh? And they're like,
There they are.
but no, they just like walk. And then they're like, oh, let me get there. Like, or that you see it fall. Like, why would you stand there? If you see it fall, you kind of know like people will be in there. So you will help.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was just.
It's just that there are just a lot of elements in this movie that great, were presented okay, but then just fell short.
Yeah. Another Easter egg, and we liked it, is when the T-Rex walks by the circle
Yes.
and to simulate the logo of
Mhm.
Jurassic Park. And I was like, oh, okay, that's cute. All right.
Yeah, and I even pointed it out.
Yeah,
There, see?
yeah, yeah. I know there's a lot. Again, we're just going random here in the sense of, and our apologies. Sometimes that's how it is after you see it. In your opinion, is this worth the watch?
Oh my gosh, that's a hard one to answer because, I mean, obviously, the whole Jurassic Park, I mean, the whole idea of it back then to where it came from now, it's like you have to. It's kind of like, of course, you're going to want to watch it because they made an amusement park out of it. They made rides out of it. It's a whole genre of nostalgia here. But
The whole what? Genre?
yeah, genre.
Okay. Genre.
So you're compelled to wanna watch it, but then but then you watch it and you're feeling like, "Was that a waste of time?"
Like, did you think like you could have saved 2 hours or
A few moments later.
okay, how about this? Is it worth owning?
No.
Okay, cool. There you go. Good. For me, it is worth the watch. I enjoyed the OGs. Jeff Goldblum, he's awesome. He's not the same in a way of first movie. His quirkiness, his rock and roll star or status, or his appearance. Even though he was dressed the same, all in black,
Mhm.
the black leather jacket, the black hair.
That would've been an Easter egg.
Oh yeah, it was. I mean, he was also in the second one. He wore black. That was his style. But I do like it that he was also had his sleeves rolled up once his jacket was off, just like it was in the first one. He had his sleeve, and then he started to unbutton his top, and then Kyla looks at it. He's like, "Oh, sorry, excuse me." He buttons up again. He just like again the player in him is still there. The little
Another Easter egg, the hat. Grant's hat.
well, no, I mean, not really no, not really. That's part of him. So,
No, but the part where it fell off
yeah,
and he
I would
wanted to
say,
go after it and the dinosaur.
yeah, I don't really think it's.
Okay.
I would think more of an Easter egg in the sense that it'll tie into Indiana Jones
Yeah, yeah.
because Indy always had to have his hat.
Mhm.
He will go back for it.
Or the hat would just kinda
Appear,
stumble
appear.
across, yeah.
Yeah, I will say that.
Yeah.
Now, Kyla Watts, the pilot, for some reason, and I tried to look it up, and they couldn't really give a concrete answer. But for some reason, I think she's related to Samuel L. Jackson's character on her.
Steering wheel?
Not no steering wheel on her in the cockpit. The gears. I can't. I don't. I'm not a pilot, so I don't know. There's a picture placed there of a couple, like at a wedding, like they're cutting cake. I seen that picture before. I don't know where I've seen that picture. I'm thinking that I saw it on Samuel L. Jackson's desk while he was working there, doing his stuff. So for some reason, that is where I'm
Making that connection.
right. Now, maybe not daughter because she would be, well, maybe because it's 30 years later. Maybe she's like in her late 20s. Maybe if she's in her early 30s, maybe she's Sam Jackson's. I don't know how old Sam Jackson is in that movie or the character he plays. There is something. I looked at IMDb. They didn't give his last name, the character's last name, just his first name. So I don't know. If you know, please put in the comments below exactly if she's related to him or where's that picture from? Because I seen it somewhere. Just can't remember. But like I was saying before, it is worth watching, in my opinion, but definitely not worth owning.
Yeah. To me, it falls short. It's like the raptor with the small arms falling short.
Well, also not just raptors, but T-Rex.
Rex, yeah, the T-Rex falling short. His arms are short.
Yeah. All right. That will be it for us on our movie review of Jurassic World Dominion. Until next time, will be the next time. I am Angel.
I'm Kimberly.
Love you.
Bye.